A couple of frequent ones I have are 1. Hey, you should put the foot down on the accelerator and swerve into oncoming traffic. 2. It would be funny if you just kissed this person. How about you guys? Story 1. I wonder how easy it would be to slice a finger off while cooking and chopping vegetables. What if I just dropped this knife onto my foot? Also while cooking. Cook a lot. Story 2. Slam the accelerator is a frequent one. Or I should take this wrong exit and just drive. Just drive and see where I end up. Or I'll think about slamming my hand on the stovetop. I have no intention of doing those, but I have them all the time. There's a reasonable explanation for it. I forget what it's called, though. Story 3. I read an article about the call of the void, the absurd thought of drifting into oncoming traffic, jumping off a cliff, and similar situations. Apparently, it's not a weird suicidal thought, but rather your brain working out the dangerous situation you're in and the consequences if you did drift into the other lane. The spotlighting the danger and forcing you to think about it. Story 4. Slam the gas. Fly off the road. Every road is a cliffside road here. Stab yourself in the torso while chopping anything. Jump off the 5th-story window or balcony when you glance at it. Slit your own throat while cutting anything. Etc. etc. Things often get grim. I wonder if I am normal often enough. Story 5. Hey, remember when you were emotionally insecure and messed up your friendship? You were not being nice, were you? Oh, and forget about it. Hey, here's a memory you tried to bury when you misread the social cues and looked awkward when you were 8. Also, don't worry about it. You're not losing sleep over this. You should not entertain the idea of being unprofessional with your boss. It would be so easy to avoid steering off that cliff. 1 minute you're on the road, and the next, let's focus on staying safe. Oh, you can see her underwear through her pants. Is this my imagination? Story 6. Seeing a snapping turtle video bite into a watermelon and having a vivid daydream of sticking my penis near it. Having it get bitten off and spasming in horror. Story 7. When I am holding a sharp object like a pen and think, I could totally just kill this person in front of me right now. I never do because that is messed up, but the thought always crosses my mind. Story 8. My thoughts are about things that are weird or disruptive but not harmful, unlike some of the folks here. For example, during a review with my boss, I wonder, what if I just pulled my boss's glasses off right now? Story 9. I have a ton of unwanted thoughts when I'm trying to sleep. It happens no matter what stage of life I'm in, unfortunately. I've tried to do mind wellness stuff, but it just doesn't stop it for some reason. I could be in such a good place but thinking about embarrassing or upsetting things that no longer apply to my situation. If I'm in a bad place, then forget it, good game. Thankfully, YouTube videos and podcasts keep my mind preoccupied and let me pass out peacefully. Other than that, I don't have anything like the examples you gave. I guess I do think of hypothetical situations, but that's just kind of voluntary daydreaming. I should point out that it's not something that happens to me every night. It's also not something that actively bothers me because of the memories themselves, but rather that my mind can't switch off from thinking on those nights. It's just easier for me to seek out a thing that lets me keep thinking about something that lets me drift off rather than trying to find an off switch for it. Story 10. What if I removed her socks and she wiggled her toes? What if I pushed my wheelchair through the railing and the glass below it at the mall and fell to the bottom floor? What if I opened the car door as it was going at 90 kilometers per hour? I really wish these horrible thoughts did not flash through my mind. Story 11. I get thoughts like these regularly, but usually I just kind of consider what would happen out of pure curiosity. As for that first thought you listed, I think there's a French term for that consideration of just jeopardizing your life that translates to call of the void. It's a fairly common phenomenon. Story 12. As someone who suffers from anxiety, I get them all the time. Lately, I've been having bad anxiety attacks with more negative thoughts about myself than usual. Recently, I confessed my feelings for a girl I like and work with, who I'm really good friends with, and who is so out of my league. Even with medication, this has caused my anxiety to go out of control and add to the negative thoughts I have about myself. It was getting so bad I was shouting at myself last night to shut up. All the extra stress is making me really ill. I was supposed to be relaxing and enjoying my time off from work. Story 13. I don't recall the exact situation, but in middle school, I ended up in a remote utility closet in a part of the school that wasn't being used anymore with a girl. We were working on a group project and looking for something or another. Basically, everything was fine, but I had the intrusive thought that if I were to try to have sex with her, she really had nowhere to run since I was in the doorway, coupled with us being fairly far away from anyone else. I immediately got really embarrassed that I'd even thought to do such a thing and left quickly. Story 14. What would I look like as a woman? You should dress up and go out dressed like a woman. You should wear your wife's clothes while she's asleep. I don't like these thoughts. Story 15. I think the most common for me would be, oh hey, dying today sounds good since you just spent it doing nothing. You may as well do nothing in the void. Other than that, here are some runner-ups. This person seems like they are flirting with me. I'm going to be alone forever. Hey, remember that time when you were such a failure that you couldn't even kill yourself? Story 16. I love old people and people in general, but I get this thought that is super funny to me. High kicking them in the head all of a sudden or slapping the back of their head and imagining them stumbling face first. I don't know why, but it's super funny to me. Or if a police officer stands next to me, the good old reach for his gun. Story 17. My favorite one. When passing a bathroom stall that is closed and occupied, I should start pounding on the door and screaming bloody murder. People normally pay good money for that type of cleanse. Story 18. Drive off and never come back. Cut myself. Jump from a tall height. Bash my head in. Slam on the gas and go into a wall. Throw my phone. Physically hitting others as hard as I can. Shoot myself. I have these thoughts constantly, and to be honest, it takes incredible willpower and a promise to never hurt myself to stop me from folding. Story 19:1. What if I break this thing I'm holding? What if my keys or phone drop in that narrow gap in the elevator? What if I shout my throat out and storm out of this meeting? What if I speak truth to myself? Story 20. My brain is surprisingly creative with these. My most disturbing ones consist of thoughts about stabbing someone or myself whenever I have my kitchen knife or wanting to hit someone while they're just on the sofa doing absolutely nothing. Story 21. First time having a drink with someone I genuinely like, such as a new colleague or friend, I get the urge to just throw the drink in their face. Story 22. Two I have are, when adding coolant to my car, that looks tasty. I should drink that. Teaching volcanoes to students. I want to put my hands into the lava. Story 23. Don't know if it counts, but if I am in a store with lots of fragile glass or china, I usually get a thought along the lines of, just smash them or knock them all off their shelves. Story 24. Yeah, definitely best to try and quash thought number 1. I let it get to me quite often. Not really driving into oncoming traffic, but over the edge of a mountain, etc. Messed my head up something chronic. Talk to someone about it if you can. Story 25. Like seriously, how much would jumping off this cliff, car park, building, or bridge really hurt? No desire to die, just wondering how much it would hurt. Story 26. Today is the day you could lose your entire family in a freak accident. Better start thinking up good eulogies. On the bright side, these thoughts mean I never leave any of them without giving that extra hug or kiss. Story 27. I wouldn't consider myself racist, but I live in a pretty homogeneous country. It's the only reason I can think of why sometimes when I meet a black person, I get the Busta Rhymes song stuck in my head. The N-word is the only word in the whole song, and it's catchy, and I hate that I ever heard it. Story 28. Sometimes I get a really strong urge to drink other people's blood. I don't know why. It's pretty strange. Blood doesn't taste good to me, but I get a craving for it. I've drunk a few ounces of my own blood before, kind of by accident. It wasn't great. It would be disgusting cold. Yet, much like my occasional desire for jalapeno poppers, the craving pops up now and then. Story 29. I'm a photographer who shoots a lot of weddings, and I really want to punch one of those wedding cakes just to see the reactions. Story 30. Yeah, but I've only got like 60 more years. It doesn't really matter if it's far off, it's still coming. There might be that moment where you are aware you are about to die or on limited time. Okay, now imagine that's like right now. Want to panic or story 31. Jumping in front of an incoming subway train. Jumping off a roof. Chopping onions and thinking about poking myself, etc. At some point, I just started finding those thoughts comedic, like, what the heck? Who said that? Story 32. Sometimes when I'm really stressed out, I get thoughts about dying in Tarantino-esque ways, like a hanging causing my head to pop off or a window slicing my head in half. Story 33. Is there an evolutionary reason for intrusive thoughts? It seems many have them. Not too long ago, we toiled from dawn to dusk to eke out a survival. Perhaps the sheer exhaustion and shorter lives kept these thoughts at bay. Story 34. Just pack a bag and start walking. Who needs a job or money? I really want a nomadic lifestyle where money and a career aren't the most important things. Just jump. You might be able to fly. I tried it once off a small roof and broke my ankle. Turns out I can't fly, but I still get tempted to try it whenever I'm up high. Story 35. You could easily crush this thing like it's nothing. Me, anytime I held a dwarf hamster in my hand. Obviously, I'd never do it because they are cute and adorable and small, but the thought was still there. But, like, you ever want a sense of just absolute power over something's life? Just hold a dwarf hamster in your hand. Story 36. Every time I am in a room of people I love, I think about how fast I can kill everyone, most of the time with knives. If it's a room of people like classmates or people I know but don't necessarily love, I don't even have the thought. Oh, and also when my cat is laying on me. I think because of my past of people playing with my trust, I now think of betraying people who trust me, not out of revenge or getting my anger out, just because it can happen. And also other similar things along the same lines of not doing an easy task my friend gave me, but it's really important to him. I don't think these thoughts will ever go away. I don't even know why I made this post. I never really say anything other than jokes and stuff. Story 37. What if I just drove into oncoming traffic? Hold the accelerator to the floor for as long as possible. Let's see how long I can drive with my eyes closed. I could really easily just jump off this balcony. I oblige 2 and 3 more than I'd like to admit. Not with traffic around. Story 38. Taking my bottle of water and drenching my laptop. Stripping bare naked in front of a crowd of 250 plus people. Hitting a bald head of state on live television or Xi Jinping. Farting during a prayer session. The list is too long, bro. Story 39. Go faster. Go until the engine blows. Usually somewhere way over the speed limit. Reason kicks in and tells me I can't afford to blow up my car yet. Story 40. Mostly throwing my phone or wallet from a bridge or from a boat. No idea why. Kind of thinking of buying the cheapest phone I can find just so I can throw it into the sea. Story 41. I'm glad I found this thread. I asked my wife if I was weird for having these thoughts. Mine are, I wonder what would happen if I flip off this police officer while sitting at a traffic light. What would happen if I punch my coworker during this meeting and then run away? Story 42. Being asked a simple question, then responding with intense rage and attacking them. It doesn't even have to be a question worth attacking over. Do you have a pen? And then brutally kicking their head in. Does anyone else have these? Story 43. Not a dude, but whenever I'm at the mall on the second or third story and see someone holding a baby near the railing, I get this terrible intrusive thought to run up, grab the baby, and throw it over the railing. I would never, but for some odd reason, the thought is always there. I also get it if I'm holding a kitchen knife and someone turns their back to me. I just get this weird thought of, I could stab them before they even knew what happened. Again, I'd never do that, but the thought is there. Humans are weird, you know? Story 44. My brain will often prompt itself to think of the worst possible thought in a given situation, far too reprehensible to share here or anywhere. Story 45. I often think about how I could just jump off from whatever high place I might currently be at, or when driving in the hills or mountains, swerving off the side. Ever since I was a toddler, when I lived in a high-rise, I've always had these thoughts in high places. Story 46. What if I spit on this person right now? What if I stab myself in the stomach with this knife? Can I punch this guy right now? It's really weird because I've never done anything like these before or anything remotely similar, but it just pops into my head. Story 47. I wonder to myself quite often just how unusual my own special brand of adversity is, and if it is unusual at all. I feel like I've struggled more than some others have. Story 48. Carbon monoxide would be less painful, but if I mess it up, I could live and have brain damage. Hanging sounds extremely painful and panicky. I don't have access to a gun, so that's not an option. All day, most days. Story 49. I don't consciously consider myself a bad person or a failure, but there's a goblin in my head who does, and he is very vocal about it while I chop vegetables, while I wash my hands, while I make the bed. Story 50. Sometimes when waiting for a train, I almost get the urge to jump in front, or if I'm waiting to cross, I get this urge again to run across the road. I always just assumed it was to experience adrenaline or something to do with adrenaline and norepinephrine systems. Story 51. Wouldn't it be cool if you shouted something offensive in this very public space? Wow, thanks, brain. Now I feel like a racist or something. No one else has commented on this, and I'm starting to get worried. Story 52. There hasn't been a school or mass shooting in America for a while. I wonder how much blood actually comes out of the jugular. I could fly to another city, kill a homeless person, and be home before they're found.